Welcome in everybody to where I preview every single NFL team's 2024 season. We're in the AFC West with the Las Vegas Raiders. Last year, it wasn't. Again, it was one of those years for the Raiders. You had, you had a couple of head coaching fires, like Josh Daniels got fired again, rightfully so. He's just the worst. Again, if there's any NFL GM out there, if there's any GM from any NFL team, this is a warning. Please stop hiring people who was under the Bill Belichick learning tree that worked for Bill Belichick, because it doesn't work. This was Josh Daniels' second head coaching job. Didn't work out in Denver 14 years ago. Didn't work out in the Raiders. Him and Dave Ziegler were out of there. They're fired. And then Tom Tessalone, who got fired last year from the Chargers, is now the new GM for the Raiders. So let's see what he can do in the Raiders. But let's see what they get in the draft. So in the draft, before I say that, they hired Antonio Pierce, who was the interim head coach last year after Josh Daniels got fired. Antonio Pierce did a couple games last year, and he did it the year before as well. But again, they gave him the permanent head coaching job. Antonio Pierce was a former player for the Raiders a number of years ago, but they gave him his first head coaching job. So let's see what he can do with this team, with this roster. But again, one thing I don't understand, and this is from Tom Salico, is they've hired Luke Getsy. Luke Getsy has come in, former offensive coordinator to the Packers and the fucking Bears. Fucking gutless Getsy. He's back. Luke Getsy has got another fucking gig in the NFL as an offensive coordinator for another fucking NFL team. This time the Raiders. So good luck. You're gonna do a lot of running the ball. 3rd and 12, hatchback dime, running the ball. You're going to play a lot of 1980s football, trying to relive some of that glory days back in, when the Cowboys were doing good, the 49ers were doing good, whatever. And the Bears were actually good. So go look Luke Getsy as your offensive coordinator. In the draft, they address the offensive side of the ball. They address, obviously, the trenches. And they're the two key areas that you need to address. Brock Bowlers, tight end from Georgia. Also, they drafted JPJ. He's a center from Oregon. Again, great addition to have somebody in the trenches like that. Declan Glaze, offensive tackle from Maryland. The additions that were signed, you got Cody Whitmer, corner. So again, he's going to be a great addition with JPJ in that center of the trench. And then they also signed Gardner Minshew, former first round pick from the Jags a number of years ago. Gardner Minshew is now with the Raiders now. Obviously, he was with the Colts a couple of years ago. Well, last season, he was a former first round pick a number of years ago for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now he's come to the Raiders after being with the Colts for a year or two. And then defensive tackle Christian Williams from the Dolphins got signed. Departures. Josh Jacobs departing at running back, and that was really the biggest departure of the whole thing. Schedule, they have again the schedule. Week 1 they got the Chargers. They have the two. They got the Chargers, who've got a new head coach in Jim Harbaugh. Then they have the Ravens, who again had a really good season last year. Fell off the wagon a bit, especially in that championship game. Then you've got the Panthers, who are trying to rebuild. the Browns, then the Broncos, then the Steelers, then the Rams. Then you've got the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and then you have a bye week in week 10, and then you've got the Falcons and the Saints in the last 2 games of the Falcons and the Saints. So you're looking at the Raiders. I'm going to say for the Raiders, I'll say third for the Raiders. I think they'll finish third in the AFC West.